Welcome to the Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver.
What up? Welcome to the Waiver Wire, where fantasy players become fantasy legends. I am a legend. I'm 4-0 in my most important league to me, in my restaurant league. Just Cooper Kupp, man. Cooper Kupp, fucking 14 catches or something like that, 9 loves 10. That's what I changed my team name to today. We just rolling, baby. We rolling on motherfuckers. My other one, in our waiver wire league, I am 3-1. I am 2-2 in my other league. I have had some tough losses, but Debo finally coming back. Devontae Adams is playing well, so I just need some things to work. I traded A.J. Dillon for Michael Pittman, and everyone thought I was crazy, but I believe that eventually Aaron Jones will miss some time. It's kind of what he does. And I believe that the Colts suck. And I think I was proven right about that when this past weekend. So, but we'll see. I realized that I was making a move that was not, it was a wide receiver one for a quote-unquote backup running back. I don't think he's really a backup. I think it's going to come to fruition. I think that he's going to be more of get a lot of the red zone stuff, and they're going to use him more as the year goes on. I also believe that running backs are kind of hard to find right now, and with me losing Elijah Mitchell, I'm in a tough spot. So I had to make a move, and I'm glad that I did. And the guy that freaked out on me can suck it, because I was not listening to that. But that's neither here nor there. We are in staycation. Me and my wife took a week off. I'm in the midst of that. I've been off since Saturday, so I've been chilling out, maxing, relaxing out cool. I was definitely under the influence of some asaída, which is Spanish for acid, on Saturday, and that was fucking amazing. I went swimming, which I highly recommend under the influence of psychedelics. Wow, what a trip. Seeing waves, and by that I mean being underwater and, like moving your hand around and you can see the waves kind of like, it's crazy. It really also made me appreciate water. I thought water was really cool when I was in it. I was like, man, just the fact that there's so much of the earth it almost changed my opinion about the ocean, because I'm very anti the ocean. I'm scared of the ocean. I think rightfully so. I have a respect for Poseidon is what it is. And so I've always said, no cruise, no scuba diving, none of that. I don't want anything to do with the ocean. I go up to my penis and I stop when I'm at the beach. But now I kind of think water's pretty cool, and I get the idea. When I was underwater and I was like, wow, this is so awesome just to be in a different, it sounds different. Ambient noise is completely gone, in my opinion. Underwater, there's kind of a hum, but you don't really hear anything else. You just basically hear your own body. But man, crazy. We watched WALL-E, which was amazing. As a story of myself, that is definitely how I view love, is that the guy you got to find your guy that's going to work for it and gonna pursue. And I pursued my wife pretty hard. So she put on a biopic about me, but I had never seen WALL-E, so it was amazing. And we also watched A Trip to Infinity on Netflix. Also, really good for the state of mind I was in. It kind of blew my mind. And then and then I was done. And then I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but the massive cleaning that I went to after that, I scrubbed the house. So it's pretty great to wake up the next day and go, man, look at the good job that I did. But we've also watched a lot of things that I have not really enjoyed. I got 3 things on this little list that I'm going to give 2 thumbs way down. First off was, as of course, that I'll continue to talk shit about this show until it does something good, and that's House of Dragons. Okay, the soap opera politic side of things, it was there in Game of Thrones. It existed. I'm not going to deny you that it didn't exist, but there was better acting. One, number one. There was better acting. This was a corny-ass scene that took place with all of them in a room together, upset about this little boy getting his eye cut. It was corny as fuck. The two girls were corny in it. The dad was corny in it. Everybody was a corny actor, and I mean corny in the worst possible ways the way that I can. It was stupid. They were stupid. I was not into it at all. That being said, they're trying to move stories along. I think they kind of rushed a lot of it, to be honest with you. I honestly don't know why we even did the younger version. Why did we not just jump in here? We could have jumped in right here, and I don't know if we would have really missed a lot. I don't know of a lot that occurred when they were younger. The uncle and Rhaenyra, the Daemon and Rhaenyra thing, did we not all smell this from the beginning? And in the Game of Thrones world, who gives a fuck? This isn't surprising. It's not shocking. It is what it is. So, they're trying to move stories along. This is not going to go over well that they got married. So hopefully the next episode will be a little better. It was really dark too. Like the whole scene with Aemon and the dragon, you couldn't even see it. And that's poor planning on the minds of these Game of Thrones runners. Sometimes they've done this in the past too, where it's just so dark that you can't even see what's going on. But this episode was boring as fuck. I don't care what anybody says. It was boring as shit. We had not a lot go down, and then at the same time there was a lot that happened, and so that I was falling asleep the entire show. And then also watched Rings of Power episode 6. Let me tell you something. If you don't like Rings of Power and you watch episode 6, holy fucking shit. Now, I'm gonna also, it's a backhanded compliment here. There was a little bit of continuity issue because their first opening scene, it just didn't quite make sense. I feel like they shot things kind of out of order, or they shot things that they didn't really think about what order they were going to go in. There was one moment where the light-skinned elf, the African-American elf, he attacks the bunch of orcs and everything that have come, and he collapses a tower on top of a lot of them. We think that he gets the main bad guy, but he doesn't. And he jumps down and runs off. And they're like, oh man, who would have survived that? There's a group of them, and including the kid, the girl's kid. I don't know any of their names, but it's the townspeople that have been fighting these orcs. The kid that found the little necro sword. It's not a necro sword, that's Thor, but you know what I'm saying. And I don't know. There was a lot of like questions of like, wait a minute, hold on, what just happened? Like, and they're like, hold on, we have to get ready. And then the next thing you see, the elf is back in the town. And I'm sure that he could have, he jumped down, he got away. It seemed like he got away. I'm sure he could have got back over there easy peasy. But it was just confusing because it was like, wait a minute, I don't understand. I also don't quite understand at the end of the show, at some point, this sword is taken and given to another guy who then goes and drops water on a resting volcano that causes this huge volcano to go off at the very end of the episode, and it looks like everybody's going to die. Who knows? But wow, that Rings of Power. I was like doing laundry, and I stopped what I was doing and just stood there and watched like the last 15 minutes of the show just because it was so interesting. So Rings of Power episode 6, that was a fucking episode. That was amazing. We watched some other things. We watched Hocus Pocus 2. Not so much for me. I like Hocus Pocus 1 a lot, but this one was a real gimmicky, like almost like they were trying to just recreate the first one, but in modern time, taking them to places like Walgreens, and instead of being on top of brooms, they're on top of Roombas, and just kind of corny shit like that. It really wasn't that good. The ending was pretty stupid. They just, I don't know, and they create a new group, a younger group of witches, which is the Disney mantra now. We got to get these young kids in here. I wasn't into it. I didn't laugh very much. I didn't think it was that good. Hocus Pocus 2, I'm going to give it 1 thumbs down. House of Dragons got 2 thumbs down, but Hocus Pocus 2 is just 1. That shows you where I'm at here. I would rather watch Hocus Pocus 2 than watch your fucking House of Dragons. And we watched Blonde. Man, fuck. Blonde. Blonde is a really weird movie. And I mean that because there's no story. It's just kind of this continuation of her life and the kind of roller coaster that she went through. And I'm assuming this is from her point of view. I get that part of it. I get the part that, she never really knew her dad and that her mom was really a piece of shit to her. And so she was kind of always, she grew up in an orphanage, it seemed like, and she was sexualized very young, and she kind of realized that was what got her attention, and so then she did that, and then it became a career, and now she's making money, and she's never really had money, and all of this I understand. I thought a lot of the acting in it was overdone. I'll be honest. I thought her acting was overdone. I really didn't care for her voice. She kind of kept up this, "Oh, daddy, oh, daddy," this whole thing the whole time, and it just, I don't know. It seemed like a really artsy fartsy movie that people would be like, "Oh God, it was just amazing." But for me, I just wanted good, I wanted a good story. I wanted a good story about Marilyn Monroe, and I don't know if we got that. I think what we got was a lot of virtue signaling, and I'm not going to say that men didn't treat her poorly. They obviously did. How much of that was wanted by her? How much of that was truly what the mental stability issues that she had? Was that from when she was a kid? I don't know if this movie actually tells that story. I think it just kind of tells the story. They dramatize it really well. They give you some great shots. There's some great cinematography in it. I just wasn't that blown away by it. I don't know how other people feel about it. I don't care. I myself was not a big fan of Blonde. Sorry, not sorry. But Blonde. And then last night, actually, we started Pam and Tommy on Hulu. It's been out for a while, but we've never seen it. And it's pretty good. The cock talking to Tommy Lee, that was something else. I wasn't prepared for that. But so far, so good. I mean, Seth Rogen's good in it. And the Sebastian Stan and Lily James, I believe. They're both killing it, too. So far, so good. We're only 3 episodes in out of the 8. We'll finish it up. Hopefully that cock doesn't talk to me much more. But you never know. Cocks can do whatever they want.
First down.
Sunday night football. Oh, the Tom Brady hour is a sad one this time. I feel for my guy. His offense actually did get going. They've been much better than they have been in the weeks past. They scored 31 points, which is pretty good. It beats most teams, I would say. And their defense has been the number one defense, in my opinion. They've been killing it. They've been absolutely lights out. They've been keeping them in a lot of these close games. They held Green Bay to 14 points. They held Dallas to 10. They've been a really good team. Now Kansas City came in here with a goal, and that was to avenge what happened to them in the Super Bowl. It was to play better than they have in the last 2 weeks, I would say. They get back to that week 1 44-point performance. And Patrick Mahomes was on fire. The Tampa Bay's defense really struggled, and they had no answers for it. Travis Kelce seemed to be doing whatever he wanted. They really got after it early. And I mean, scoring 41 is a pretty incredible task for that Bucs defense that had played so well. I don't know about Kansas City's offense. Now, what I mean by that is Juju, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, some of these other guys like Watson and Fortson and some of these random players that are on this Kansas City Chiefs team. I don't know if in the playoffs they're going to be able to play this well, because this was like the best case scenario for all of those guys. They played out of their minds. Marquez Valdez-Scantling making great catches. Juju coming back and making great, helping out Patrick Mahomes when he was in trouble. And maybe as they turn this corner here, this Kansas City offense is going to just take off, and they're going to be 40 points a game, and they could be the best team in the league. They very well could be that. I'm just saying thing. I need to see more of that because what I saw in weeks 2 and 3 out of Kansas City was that Travis Kelce's there. Seems like they have a better running game. The rest of these receivers, it's going to take time. And I think they came in with a lot of adrenaline. I think they wanted to win this game, obviously. And they just hit the Bucs defense in the mouth, and they just never let up. Tom, I don't know if he's happy, man. It's tough. There's something weird. There's a weird vibe with my guy. I know there's been rumors about Giselle and him being on the rocks because he came back and she didn't want him to come back. And, I don't know. I don't know if this is his last year. I would guess maybe. I would guess that that's a good guess that he probably is done. But I'm not counting the Bucs out. I think in the NFC that is wide open. I mean, the Eagles are there, and I think the Rams and the Niners will both figure it out. But other than that, I mean, the Vikings look better than the Packers still, in my opinion. I'm still not blown away by the Packers. I still think the Packers have a long way to go. I know their record doesn't say that, but that's what I think. Other than that, I mean, what am I supposed to be scared of over Dallas when Dak comes back? Not really. I mean, their defense is good, but their offense is Yeah, if the Philly is their biggest test, in my opinion. Tampa Bay's biggest test. Philly has really, really been great, but Tampa Bay, I'm not counting them out. And you want to not bet on Tom Brady? Go for it. Go ahead and not bet on Tom Brady. See how that goes. But in my opinion, you always got to bet on the guy. He is the guy. So yeah.
Second down.
Well, if it looks like I lit the world up, it's because I forgot to turn the lights on. I forgot to turn the lights on for the first little bit there. But look at that. Let's see. Is there a difference? Let's see. Buffalo at Baltimore. This was also another big game of the week. We all were kind of excited about it, and it did not disappoint. Baltimore actually came out early, hit them in the mouth, 17-3 at one point. I think they actually even got to 20-3. Well, no, I don't remember. I don't think so. I think it was 17-3, and then Buffalo scored just again and again in the fourth quarter. The Bills' defense seems already banged up. Micah Hyde is out for the year, and Jordan Poyer is in and out of being healthy to not healthy. And it just seems like they might be already with an uphill battle with their defense, but they stood the test. They stood the test here. They were ready to go. They were ready to go against Lamar Jackson. They got hit early, but then they bounced back and they played really well. They obviously got the interception to win the game. On a crazy fourth down call, to be honest. I don't like kicking field goals either. I like the aggressiveness, and I like you trying to win the game. But, man, it didn't make any sense when they were doing it. Lamar's not necessarily been hot in the second half. He's definitely cooled off. I mean, you're trying to get your offense to where you get 7 there, and then you force Buffalo to have to score. But then what you did was you throw in that interception, and it was a bad throw. Let's be real. It was a duck that was in the air for a while, and this is my problem with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, in crunch moments, he throws this pick, and he's not mad at. I don't know what his face is. There's a lack of reaction. It's kind of an Aaron Rodgers type situation to me where Aaron Rodgers, in my mind, just like Lamar Jackson, they don't believe they did something wrong. They just believe that this is the way football goes and that, he got that. I mean, my guy probably should have got it, but interception instead. And it's like, well, I don't know if that's necessarily what happened there. You made a bad play. I think it was to Bateman, but Bateman was in the corner of the end zone where he was supposed to be, and you made a bad throw, and the defender just got it. Yes, that's the way football goes, and you can give credit to the defender, or you can, take credit away from Lamar Jackson, whichever way you're looking at it. But I am very impressed with Buffalo. They definitely answered they answered the bell because the bell had been rang, and they got their bell rang in the beginning, and then something else with the bell. I don't know. I just felt like I had to say bell 3 times, but they definitely bounced back, and they got this win. They're 3-1 now. they've had some very tough road games. I think all 4 of their games have been road games, so they're going to go back home now. They get Pittsburgh at home this week, which is awesome. They're definitely going to win that. They're favored by 14 points, not to look ahead too far here, but holy shit. But yeah, Buffalo at Baltimore, that was a great game. J.K. Dobbins, I like it. I like that they were getting more involved. I think that it's going to happen more. I think you can feel more comfortable with that, especially in fantasy going forward. And Lamar is still Lamar. I mean, fantasy football wise, he's still going to do great. He's throwing and running. He's Josh Allen, basically, but I think Josh Allen can throw better. But Josh Allen looked really great. James Cook wasn't used today, which really bums me out, but I think that that's still going to come later on. And Buffalo really has to decide, are they going to run the ball? Because if they're going to run the ball with running backs, they've got to just commit to it early and they've got to get to it. I think it sucked because they got behind, so then they had to throw the ball. But they've got to run the ball with people that aren't Josh Allen. Josh Allen cannot be your guy running the ball. Eventually, he's going to get cracked. And I fear for him. I know he's a big guy. I know he's tough, but you do not want Josh Allen to be your main running back. So let's give it to Dalvin Cook's brother, from Georgia, a champion, a national champion. Let's fucking go. Give it to James Cook. That's just me being selfish and hoping on a prayer. But Buffalo, Baltimore, great game. Buffalo comes up with the win, 23-20.
Third down. Waiver wire.
The waiver wire was getting tight, man. I'm not going to lie. There's not a lot going on in our 12-team waiver wire. It's not even really in the 8-team waiver wire either. Seems like at this point we figured out who's good and who's bad. We've picked up on who's good and who's bad, and we've kind of weeded out the waiver wire. You've got Teddy Bridgewater out there for sure. I guarantee he's out there. There's no way anybody had him on a team. He's going to get the start this week. Who are they playing? They're playing the Jets. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me. I definitely wouldn't start him if I was happy with my quarterback. I wouldn't grab him just because Tua did really well. I don't think that's necessarily the answer. But Teddy Bridgewater is definitely an option out there. I know that Jameis was out there, Jameis Winston, but and he's going to come back. But I don't like Jameis Winston, and I don't care for other guys like Daniel Jones or Matt Ryan right now. I would stick with what I got, even if your guy's struggling. Let's say you have Stafford. I think the Rams are going to turn this around. I think they're going to be all right. I know that they had a rough Monday night. I saw it. But I would still trust with what I got and maybe let Stafford go for a little bit more. But Bridgewater, there's a good possibility that he has a good game. They've got a powerful offense. I'm hoping that he goes to Jalen Waddle a whole bunch, although I have Tyreek Hill in the other league too, so I don't know what I hope for. But yeah. Teddy Bridgewater is definitely an option at quarterback. Corey Davis is out there still. Rondale Moore, I dropped him. He did okay in his first game back, but I'm still glad that I dropped him. But you might go grab him because we've still got another 2 weeks before DeAndre Hopkins gets back. Nelson Aguilar is out there. Donovan Peoples-Jones is out there. I would only do that if you're in an injury situation and you just feel like you got to throw something else on your bench and just kind of stash it and see what happens. I wouldn't feel good about starting any 4 of those guys, Corey Davis, Rondale Moore, Nelson Aguilar, or Donovan Peoples-Jones. I wouldn't feel great about starting them, but it's maybe a stash place for your bench. Again, like I said, we're getting tight over here. We're getting tight. There ain't a lot left, including running backs, man. Nothing really left on running backs. I put 2 guys that are going to take over for some injured reserve people. We had Javonte Williams tear his ACL and LCL and go on the injured reserve. So Mr. I don't know his first name, I'm sorry, but M. Boone will definitely be a backup to Melvin Gordon. Now, Melvin Gordon fumbled. He's had a lot of fumbles this year. They're not really in love with him. They took him out of the game after he fumbled for quite some time until they had to put him back whenever Javonte Williams went out. But Boone is definitely going to get some carries, and he's definitely somebody to look at, especially if Melvin Gordon continues to struggle. He's a stash, though, at this point. And also, C. Huntley on on the Atlanta Falcons, Cordell Patterson is also hurt and on the IR, although that seems to be just for 4 weeks. But Huntley is somebody that is going to definitely get some carries. I would actually be more excited about that than I would the Boone. But I would go after Huntley because I think that he is going to get carries in this offense. Algier is probably going to be the new starter after Cordell Patterson, but still not a bad idea to pick up his backup of Huntley. And then Dawson Knox is out there for tight ends. If you're looking for a nice tight end, I think that he hasn't had a great couple first weeks. However, I think that could change as the weeks go on here. I think that Buffalo, their offense is going to light it up in the next couple of weeks, getting to go back home, getting a little bit easier of a schedule after this. So yeah, Dawson Knox, I would do it again. Actually, Darren Waller is struggling, so it's not a bad idea for me to go out there and maybe snag him up and keep him on the bench and see what happens. But I appreciate Dawson Knox, and I am a big fan. And I have talked about all the waiver wires that I think that there are.
Fourth down.
Hey, mybookie.com, huh? I got 10 out of the 16 right, motherfucker. And truthfully, I would have got 11 because I should have picked the Chargers. I was picking the Chargers over the Texans, but because it's working and the Texans are losing every time I pick them, I'm going to continue to pick them. So truthfully, it's 11 out of the 16 right, but I'm going to go with 10 out of 16 because I did pick Houston, so I did get that wrong. But y'all know what I be doing. You'll see what I be doing. I'm superstitious and I want that Bryce Young. But man, we had a great week of football. I'm going to go through them real quick of this week 4 and talk about how I got so many right. I was fucking a genius this week. We're going to see if I can keep it going. I said that Cincinnati was going to win on Thursday night over Miami. I thought that Miami had just had a really tough game against Buffalo. I was right. Man, not only so tough, we're going to get into it in the next down here, but really, really tough on a certain quarterback from Hawaii. But they covered the spread. They were a 3.5 point favorite at home. Cincinnati was, and they win 27-15. Like I said with the Chargers, I'm going to do the Texans first every time, but I picked the Texans because I want the Texans to lose, and they did just that. Although they are a scrappy team, and they fought back, and it really seemed like that they were trying to get back in that game, but the Chargers put it on late and scored a late touchdown. Austin Eckler had a fucking amazing game, 3 touchdowns. He was your number 2 scorer for the flex this week behind TJ Hawkinson. Holy shit, did he have a game. But yeah, Chargers beat us 34-24. They were a 5-point favorite on the road. I'm glad that it happened, and I don't care what my bookie has to say. I'm going to keep picking the Texans so that they keep losing. But then we had an early game. We had a London game. We had Minnesota and New Orleans playing in the good old Maryland of London. Always seems like a crazy game. They had no Michael Thomas. They had no Jameis Winston. Alvin Kamara was a late game scratch as well. He didn't play as either. So New Orleans actually hung in there pretty well with nobody. I mean, with Andy Dalton at quarterback and Taysom Hill at times. But it seemed like New Orleans actually did pretty well, and Minnesota's a good team, but they got to figure out how to close games out because they were back and forth on this, and Will Lutz almost hit a 61-yard field goal to tie this game at the very end, but he missed, and that was the ball game. I said Minnesota would win. It was a 2.5 point favorite, Minnesota was, so they covered with the 28-25 win. Yeah, I still like Madison, Alexander Madison, if he's out there, or you can trade for him because Dalvin Cook is in and out of being injured, and it's not going to stop. It's just going to continue to get worse. But yeah, I still like Minnesota to win that division, and this was a good win for them over, let's face it, a bad New Orleans team, and probably shouldn't have been this close, but it was in London. It was a weird game, so but Minnesota got the win in London. Cleveland at Atlanta. This is why you go to mybookie.com. You listen to me and you take these home dogs, which I took Atlanta to beat the lowly Cleveland Browns. The Browns just aren't that good. Let's be real. Jacoby Brissett's not that good. He threw an interception to lose this game. The Atlanta Falcons are a scrappy team. They were not the worst of the worst the way that I thought they were going to be. I thought that we were going to be battling them for the number one pick. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think Atlanta will string together about 5, maybe 6 wins because they're not a terrible team. They're scrappy, and they were scrappy in this game. Their defense is better than it's looked in years past, and Atlanta got a good win. Got a good win over Cleveland. Cleveland, I think that makes them 2-2 now. They just got to maybe go 500. So if he can get them to 6 wins before Deshaun comes back, I think that you see good things. But I see it with Cleveland. Nick Chubb is legit. Kareem Hunt and that duo, that running game is real. You just need Deshaun to step in. And I really see big things for the Browns eventually. But here, I'm glad I went with the home dogs because I was right. Cleveland was a 1.5 point favorite. So, 2023. Washington at Dallas. Dallas was a 3-point favorite at home. I don't know if it's more to say about that Cooper Rush did play well and that the Dallas is doing well without Dak, or that Washington just sucks. Because Commander Wentz, he just sucks. Carson Wentz is not the guy. He makes poor decisions. He throws picks. He holds on the ball for too long and gets sacked. I'm not really impressed with Carson Wentz or the Washington Commanders at all. Sorry, Honor, I told you. But Dallas, Dallas's defense is legit, and they got after the quarterback and got some picks and played really, really well. But I'm not counting him as like a Super Bowl favorite or anything like that, but they got a good win here. They were a 3-point favorite at home, and I picked Dallas. So I got that right because Washington lost 10-25. Seattle at Detroit. Detroit was a 6-point favorite at home. I thought that was fair. I thought that they would win by a touchdown because Seattle's not that good. And I think I'm done saying that phrase, that Seattle's not that good. I think I'm done with that because Seattle maybe is better than we thought. And Detroit's defense is terrible. That's the other side of the coin here. Whoever is playing Detroit that week, this week it's New England, I'd go ahead and start your Patriots because they're probably going to score on this league worst Detroit Lion defense. Detroit being a 6-point favorite, I probably should have known that they weren't going to win by that much, that it would have been a close game. If I had just gone ahead and bet Seattle, I would have been right. Detroit lost this 48-45. They made a hell of a go of it. I mean, they scored 45 points, so you got to feel good if you're Detroit Lion offense. If you're the defense, you really got to step it up. Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator from Detroit on Hard Knocks, he seemed like he was really good. He seemed like he knew what he was doing, but has not come to fruition for his defense. They have not played well. So Detroit loses again. I believe that takes them to 1-3. Very disappointing. I had them sneaking into the playoffs. I still think it's possible, but they got to get some of these wins, especially against some of these bad teams. So 48-45, I got that wrong. Tennessee at Indianapolis. Indianapolis was a 3-point favorite at home because they're the home team and they were supposed to be good and they have Jonathan Taylor and they have all these people. They traded for Matt Ryan. They're looking to win. And guess what? The Indianapolis Colts suck. That's the truth. I was wrong about the Colts and I was wrong about the Raiders. The Raiders did get a win, but I'm not seeing the production that I thought I was going to. And definitely not out of the Indianapolis Colts. They are just not very good. Matt Ryan looks old and not really able to get it done anymore. And Tennessee definitely bounced back. Derrick Henry had a great game. I don't know what to make of Tennessee. They were the number 1 seed last year, so you kind of think like, well, maybe it's just a matter of time before they do turn this around. And it's very possible, especially in our division. They get Washington this week, so that's a pretty easy win in Tennessee's eyes. But yeah, Indianapolis, I'm totally out. I don't feel bad about trading Michael Pittman at all. I don't think that he was going to do much more this year. It seemed like that he was officially slowing down just because of how bad Indianapolis's offense is. But yeah, I got this wrong because I still went with Indianapolis. I was trying to get them back on track, and they lost 24-17. Did the Indianapolis Colts, so not good there. Chicago at the Giants, a game that I didn't think I would give a fuck about at all. Actually turned out to be a very good game. As far as defense and situational football, Chicago lost this game. I thought they might. I wasn't crazy about the Giants. The Giants were a 3-point favorite at home. I didn't think, they're gonna crush it, but I thought that the Giants would end up winning this game. I thought 3 was really close, but they ended up winning by 8. And Chicago just, they're no good. They're no good. Let's be real. I knew they weren't going to be any good. They got that first win in the rain against San Francisco, against a Trey Lance that might not have been ready for the show. Let's call it what it is. And, Chicago's just, Justin Fields ain't it. It's not it. He's not it. I mean, obviously he's not it. Look at him. But yeah, I'm not impressed by Chicago. Not really that impressed by the Giants, but they're 3-1, and maybe they're better than we think, and maybe they win some of these games that they shouldn't. We'll see. Jacksonville at Philly. This was a really good game. 21-29. Philly came back and won this game. They were down 14-0. And I just saw Jalen Hurts just saying he refused. He refused to lose this game. He refused to back down. And he really, really stepped up. 21-29. Philly was a 6.5-point favorite. I went with Philly, and I was right. And they got this win very handedly. Philly is a tough cookie. They're going to be very tough to play as the year goes on because I believe their defense is going to get better. But I was impressed by Jalen Hurts once again. As I called it, I said that they were going to have a great year. Booyah. The Jets at Pittsburgh. This was a really good game. The Jets ended up coming back. They brought in Kenny Pickett because they were up, and it kind of seemed like a moment where it was like, well, let's give the kid a try. Then he throws 3 picks. That's not what cost them a game because their defense just really couldn't stop Zach Wilson in the fourth quarter. I think he went 10 for 12 in the fourth quarter, but they win 24-20. They were a 3.5-point favorite. Pittsburgh was at home, so I took the Jets, and I was right. I do think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a losing season this year. I know that he's never done that. I know Tomlin's never done that, but I think that it happens. Doesn't seem like they really know what they're doing at quarterback, and they're trying to figure that out. So we shall see. Buffalo at Baltimore, I've talked about that already. Buffalo was a 2.5-point favorite. They won 23-20. I got that right. Right? Yeah, I got that right. Oh, I didn't even count that. Oh, man, I'm an idiot. So I did. I got 11. Actually, almost 12. It should be 12 if you don't count the Houston one, but I got 12 out of the wow, cool. Yeah, so I'm really 11 out of the 16. That's very good. Buffalo at Baltimore, I got that right. Arizona at Carolina. Carolina was a 1.5-point favorite at home, and I chose Arizona to win this game. I've not been overly impressed by Arizona, but I've been very underimpressed by Carolina. Baker Mayfield is not it. I'm not impressed by him. And 26-16, they win by 10. I got that right. New England at Green Bay. Man, this was a weird game. Green Bay, they had a lot of moments. They had a drop touchdown pass in the end zone. They probably should have won by a couple of touchdowns, but they let New England hang in this game. They let Brian Axel fucking Hoyer hang in this game. But I'm still out on both of them. I'm out on the Patriots and I'm out on the Packers. I still think Minnesota wins that division. Green Bay being such a high favorite, I just thought that was ridiculous. I'm doing it again this week too, but Green Bay being a 10.5-point favorite at home against Bill Belichick, I was like, I doubt that very much. So I picked New England, which I would have got right because they did not cover this crazy 10.5-point spread. Yeah, and I'm still not big on either one of them. We'll see as it goes forward here. Green Bay's going to London this week, so we'll see how they react to that. The Denver Broncos at the Las Vegas Raiders. Finally, my Raiders got on the board. I picked the Raiders to win. They were favored by 2. Denver just still kind of sloppy, and Russell Wilson doesn't seem like Russell Wilson. I hesitate to say they're out of it, but I mean they're probably close to out of it. They're just really not that great of a team. The Raiders got this win to get them in the win column. I see it rolling a little bit. I see them getting better. They use Josh Jacobs more. Not so much Mac Hollins. It was more going to Devontae Adams, going to Darren Waller occasionally. Please fucking go more. But yeah. Denver at the Raiders. This was a good divisional game, and the Raiders finally pull out a win. And I got that right. Kansas City at Tampa Bay. Kansas City was a 2.5-point favorite. I'm always going to pick my man Tom Brady for the opposite reasons of the Texans. I actually want him to win. But yeah, I talked about it already, but pretty bad beatdown. Tom tried to make it interesting and tried to get him back in that game, but it just never got going. And I got this wrong because they lost 41-31. I talked about this briefly, which was Monday night, last night's game, which was the Rams at the 49ers. 49ers were a 2-point favorite at home, and I said, no, give me the road dogs. And I was wrong. San Francisco's got a good team. You know, they've got a good defense. They've still got their Bosa brother. They've still got Nick Bosa. They've got a really good linebacking core, and it just seems like they're right there. They are right there. They're on the road to success. So, Rams lose to the 49ers 9-24. Kind of a beatdown. Wasn't really that close. I would say the Rams, I don't know if it's a hangover, but I think that it's just that they're trying to get their offense going, and at the same time their defense is giving up points. So it's kind of this perfect storm of just playing badly. But I do believe that they will turn it around. I do believe that they'll play a lot better in the weeks to come. And I still think it's a 2-man race between those two, between the Rams and the Niners. Jimmy G looks good, though. Jimmy G looks good. And the Deebo Samuel deep pass, I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. But wow, I got 11 out of 16. Actually 12 out of 16 because I would have picked the Chargers. But wow, cool. I'm a fucking genius. MyBookie.com. Fuck the algorithm.
5th down.
So Tua hits his head on Sunday Football. Is clearly discombobulated. They say it's a back injury, but he goes back in the game. Everyone was very sure that he did have a concussion, but no one said anything. Or at least no one on Miami side said anything. They wanted him back in the game. Then they have a short week. They've got to go here to this. I'm talking about Thursday Night Football now. I'm talking about this Tua injury. Wild injury, boy. I mean, he gets slammed down hard, and his fucking fingers lock up, and he's totally knocked out. He was out for a while till they had to cart him off the field. The guy that approved him to come back, the neurologist that the Dolphins have on staff, has been fired due to all of the outcry for Tua and the way that it looked, because it looked terrible. It did look terrible. I'm not going to deny that. You know, if you had to ask Tua, I guarantee you he's going to say he wants to play. I think a lot of these guys know what they're getting into, and they don't really care. I mean, they care, but they don't. I also think that Tua is bound to get hurt. He's not that big of a guy. He reminds me of Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson is very smart with the ball and very smart about getting down. And Tua seems like he's getting hit more. I mean, 2 weeks in a row now where he's gotten thrown to the ground like that. And it's just kind of easy to throw him to the ground because of how small he is. I think also that the flip side of this coin was that Cincinnati was back. They were throwing the ball wherever he wanted. Joe Burrow was connecting with T. Higgins like crazy. They ran the ball better. I think Cincinnati turned a corner here, and this was a big win for them. They're now 2-2, but Cincinnati Bengals, man, go Joey B, go Swaggy Joey. Big into that. They win this game 15-27. Cincinnati, this was a tough test, and I don't see it getting any easier. They've got Baltimore this week. That's tough, but I think Cincinnati's back. I think they're back. And Tua has been ruled out for week 5. Again, I don't know if it's that he can't pass or it's just that at this point, what's the point of putting him out there again and again when he's clearly injured? Clearly injured. So very interesting. I would expect Tua's okay and that he comes back at some point. It'll be interesting to see how severe of an injury this actually is. But yeah, I thought it was a great game though. Other than Teddy Bridgewater came in and there weren't deep passes, but as long as you've got good crossing stuff, these fast guys can kind of get it done. So that's my hope, is that you're hitting Jalen Waddle on crossing routes, you're hitting Tyreek on crossing routes, and we're still scoring touchdowns. So who knows? Maybe it becomes a little bit more dynamic because they are doing shorter, closer stuff. But Cincinnati gets the win 27-15 over Miami.
6th down.
So we've got through 4 weeks here. I really wanted to, right? Is that where we're at? Yeah, we're in the 5th week now. So we've gone through 4 weeks. I wanted to talk about if my theory was correct. Spoiler alert, it definitely was correct, about who are the top scorers now. Are they running backs or are they receivers? So I've got a top 20 of flex players that are not quarterbacks here. That's running back, wide receiver, or tight end for the highest scorers in my version, but that my version is not terribly far off from everyone's version. And guess who is number 1? Oh, that's right. The guy that I knew would be number 1. The reason that I had to take the man, the myth, the legend, the white knight, Mr. Cooper Kupp. We've got Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill. That's your top 3. They've got 106, 98, and 94 respectively. Saquon Barkley is at 86, and Nick Chubb is at 85. So the next highest ranked running backs, it's crazy. I mean, why would you want to do this to yourself? Why would you want to handcuff yourself to this? How long does Saquon play for? I've still got the under for Christian McCaffrey and him to 6 games. Now, let's talk about the breakdown for the rest of it. There are 11 wide receivers in this top 20. There are 2 tight ends, and there are 7 running backs. It's a bad sign. That means that the running backs really aren't doing as shit as you thought they would. And let's get into it more. So Nick Chubb or Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, that's 4 and 5. Justin Jefferson is 6. Jalen Waddle is 7. I've got 1 and 7. Suck it. Travis Kelce is 8. Austin Eckler, we will go back to the running back now, is 9. Marquise Brown is 10. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is 11. Jamal Williams for the Detroit Lions coming in at 12. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Christian McCaffrey, A.J. Brown, Christian Kirk, Mark Andrews, Debo, and then Josh Jacobs. So a lot of people not on here like Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, a lot of people that we thought were going to be amazing star receivers and running backs have kind of, you're starting to see the cream is going to rise to the top. Cooper Kupp's going to rise to the top. So is Stephon Diggs. So is Tyreek Hill. But the top 3 are wide receivers. Yes, you have Saquon and Nick Chubb in there. I don't know how long either one of those lasts. Austin Eckler is the next highest ranked running back. And I was big on him. I actually said that I fully understand drafting Austin Eckler. But the rest of this, man, it's pretty telling. Marquise Brown, too, to be number 10. That's pretty wild. That just shows you that the receiver is very valuable. And if you have no one else to throw to the way that Kyler does, somebody's going to catch these balls. But 11, 7, and 2, that's pretty crazy as far as top 20 flex positions. You know who sits at the top, though. Cooper Kupp.
Overtime.
Yeah, so I talked about it briefly. The highest flex scores this week, and that was T.J. Hawkinson, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs. Those were your top three. Justin Jefferson was after that. Then Mike Evans and my man Miles Sanders. Woo! I did it, boy. I had Mike Evans too. Damian Pierce, Rashad Penny, T. Higgins, Jamal Williams, Debo Samuel, Mo Alley Cox, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, and then Travis Kelce. You know, if I would have told you that was going to be a top 10 of a week, that TJ Hawkinson would leave the show and that, Austin, I mean, you may have maybe believed the rest of them. I don't think you would have believed that Damian Pierce, Rashad Penny, and Jamal Williams would have been on no top fucking 16 or whatever list this is. But the quarterbacks were interesting too. Jared Goff being at the top. That's so wild and a loss that he was your highest scorer. Geno Smith, the other side of that game, also huge surprise. If I'd have told you that in week 4, Jared Goff and Geno Smith would be the cream of the crop as far as the quarterbacks go, you'd say you're fucking insane. Then we go Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, then Josh Allen, then Justin Herbert, and then so on and so forth. But yeah, good week of football coming up here. Not a ton of huge games. I think that we're kind of falling out of that. Oh my God, I have the hiccups. Not ideal. Not ideal for right now. Oh, we're back. Oh, I had the hiccups. I had to breathe for a second and make that go away. Got a good week coming up here. I think that Indianapolis at Denver should actually be a pretty good game. I'm hoping that one of them step up. I haven't been impressed by either of them, but now the lights are going to be bright. Everybody's going to be watching. Let's see what you can do. But yeah, Indianapolis at Denver should be a good game. Denver is a 3-point favorite at home, and I'm going to take them. I'm not big on Indianapolis. I don't think they played well at all, so I'm going to take Denver, and I'm going to agree with Vegas. Houston at Jacksonville. So Jacksonville is a 7-point favorite at home. I'm taking Houston, not because I think they're going to win, my bookie. You should truthfully bet on Jacksonville. They win by a touchdown. Houston's terrible, and I'm going to keep picking them as long as it keeps working. But the Giants at Green Bay is going to be your first game of the day on Sunday because it's going to be in the morning in London. So it says Giants at Green Bay. It doesn't really matter, but Green Bay is an 8-point favorite. Wow. I don't know how they see that being the way how close these games have been with Green Bay. And I don't think this is any different. I think the Giants keep it close. I do think that the Giants probably lose this game, but not by 8 points. Green Bay probably wins, and it's probably another tight one. Although I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants squeak it out. The Giants are better than we're giving them credit for, especially if Saquon keeps playing like that. I don't know how long he's gonna. Actually, I do. I think this is the game. I think somewhere in the third quarter in this game. Let me rub my magic 8 ball here. Yeah, he goes down with an injury. But we shall see. I'm still not a big Giants fan. I'm not a big Packers fan, so I'm not going to be waking up at 8:30 in the morning to watch this game. But I think that the Giants can cover that 8-point spread. Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Buffalo is a 14-point favorite at home. That is wacky. Definitely the biggest number that I've written down so far. I can't believe it. I'm going to take Buffalo and the points. I'm going to take the 14 points and say that they will get there. I think they win by a couple touchdowns. I think this is an easy game for them. Pittsburgh has not looked great, and so I would imagine that they could kind of turn things around there, but we shall see. Kenny Pickett looked better. Maybe they turn it around, but doubt it against one of the best teams in the league in Buffalo, and I think Buffalo rolls pretty easy there. The Chargers at the Browns. This is an interesting one. I actually had to think about this because the Browns do that kind of thing where they come out, they lay a stinker, and then the next game they look great. And so this might be that game. I don't know what's going on with Justin Herbert. I don't know why the talk of him has kind of gone down. I don't think it was his fault that his ribs were cracked, but I think that the Chargers win this. They're a 3-point favorite on the road. I think they win by 3, so I'm going to pick the Chargers. I'm not crazy about the Browns, and I think that's more of what it is, but I think the Chargers get this win. They had a good win this week against Houston. They can go play another bad team now in Cleveland, and they can win that too. Chicago at Minnesota. Minnesota's a 3-point favorite at home. I took Minnesota in this. I'm comfortable with that. I'm not crazy about Chicago. I think they look really bad. I think Minnesota wins this pretty easy. Detroit at New England. New England is a 3-point favorite at home. Man, I don't know if I got to stop doing this, but I am going to continue to ride with the Detroit Lions until they stop scoring so much, and then maybe they can get some stops. I mean, it is Brian Hoyer. I don't think that Mac Jones will be back by then, but the Detroit Lions, man, y'all got to learn how to play some defense. Y'all got to play better on defense. So I'm going to take Detroit hesitantly. I totally understand if you don't, but I'm going to take Detroit to beat New England, 3 points. Seattle at New Orleans. Again, this is one of those moments where I got to stop talking about Seattle like this. They're not that team. They are not as bad of a team as they once were. Geno Smith is playing well. I can't believe I just said that. Seattle at New Orleans. That's where I was. There was a knock at the door and shit went awry. Oh my God! I had to pause. I had to go to answer the door. But Seattle at New Orleans. I think I was saying how Geno and them aren't playing that bad, and I'm not big on Jameis Winston. They still seem banged up. I don't know if all of them are going to play. And New Orleans is a 5.5-point favorite at home. I doubt that very much. I think that it at least stays to a close. So I'm going to take Seattle on the road to cover those points. But I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% sure. This one is kind of a weird game. Don't want to see a lot of this on the red zone either. Miami at the Jets. This is a good game. I wouldn't have said that had not Zach Wilson played so well in the fourth quarter. Miami's a 3-point favorite, and of course, this isn't Tua, it's Teddy Bridgewater. A 3-point favorite is still respect for that Miami team that has played really well. And I think Miami's going to win. I think I'm going to take Miami winning by a touchdown, so I think they cover that 3 points. But the Jets should make it interesting. Zach Wilson played really well, so we'll see. We'll see. That's going to be one of the better games of the week, though. But I'm going to take Miami in the 3 points. I'm gonna say they win by a touchdown, so I think they got it. Atlanta at Tampa. You know, I don't like this number. 8.5 points is kind of high, especially with the way that they played on Sunday night. But I still am going to go with Tom Brady. I'm always going to go with Tom Brady for the opposite of the reason that I go with the Houston. I actually believe that Tom Brady can win any game at any time. They should beat Atlanta. Atlanta's not a very good team, but they are scrappy. So 8.5 is pretty high. I would understand if you want to go bet with Atlanta on the road. I'm going to always stick with Tom Brady. I don't bet against Tom Brady, but this is going to be a tougher game than it should. On paper, you think Tom Brady blows this game out, but I think Atlanta is scrappy and they hang in there. But let's go, Tom. Then we've got Tennessee at Washington. Tennessee is a 2.5-point favorite on the road. Washington has looked absolutely terrible, and Tennessee has bounced back. So I'm going to go with Vegas, and I'm going to go with Tennessee here. I could be wrong. Maybe Washington squeaks out a nasty, ugly win in this, but I think Tennessee wins the game. San Francisco at Carolina. Talk about another team that has looked really bad. That's the Carolina Panthers and Baker Mayfield. If Sam Darnold comes back, it might be a way better idea to just go with something new because Baker Mayfield sucks. And I think San Francisco wins this game. I don't know the spread because it was from last night. So they had the San Francisco and the Rams game last night, so I don't have the spread. But I would imagine San Francisco is a favorite. I don't really care by how much. I think San Francisco wins this game pretty easily, especially the way that they played last night. But San Francisco over Carolina. Dallas at the Rams. This is a very interesting game. This is going to be one of the better games of the week. I'm going to go with the Rams at home. I think Dallas has been riding high and their defense is good, but I think that the Rams are tired of losing these games, and I think they come out and they play really well. I don't know the spread because the Rams played last night, but I would imagine they're probably a favorite at home with Cooper Rush, although it might be a pretty close game because Cooper is undefeated. But I'm going to go with the Rams. It's going to be a tough game, and I think that Micah Parsons definitely gets home on Stafford, but I think that the Rams end up squeaking out a win. But I would be interested to know what the spread is. If the Rams have a super high number, if they're leading by over a touchdown, I might go with Dallas to keep it close. MyBookie.com. Fuck the algorithm. Philly at Arizona. I believe that's a 5-point favorite that Philly is on the road. I think they easily cover that. I think they win by a touchdown. I'm still not very impressed with Arizona and Kyler Murray, but I am impressed with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have really, really come out and played like I thought they would. Their defense is young and getting after it, and I'm big on it. I'm big on the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think they get this win. I think they beat Arizona pretty easy. Cincinnati at Baltimore is the Sunday night game. That is a fantastic game. We've got a good Sunday night game and a good Monday night football game. Cincinnati at Baltimore. Baltimore is a 3-point favorite at home. I'm going to take the Bengals. I'm not crazy about Baltimore, and I think those mistakes that he made, I think it's possible that he continues to make those mistakes. I'm not blown away by the Bengals by any means, but I do think that they come and they get this win. So I think the Bengals come and they get this win, and I would not be surprised if it's by more than a touchdown. But I think that they do. I think they go on the road and they get this win in Baltimore. Not crazy about Baltimore, so I'm kind of biased, and I am obviously biased to Swaggy Joey, but I'm going to go with the Bengals over the Baltimore Ravens. Go to MyBookie, make that bet. Vegas at the Chiefs. That's their Monday night football game. Kansas City is a 7-point favorite at home. Is it possible that they win by a touchdown? Absolutely. Do I think that that's what's going to happen? No. I actually think that the Raiders are going to end up winning this game outright. I think that the Chiefs are up and down this year, and I think that they have moments with Tampa Bay where they blow them out, and then they'll have moments in this game where they kind of miss some cues and it doesn't go as well. Maybe we get another Bieniemy, Mahomes yelling at each other, and the Raiders have got to string together some wins. They have no choice. They can't go 1-4. They've got to go 2-3. So I think the Raiders play their butts off, and I like the 7 points. Even if, let's say, Kansas City wins, I'm hoping that the Vegas can keep it close and keep it within a touchdown. So hopefully with the points, that's a good, safe bet. Monday Night Football. Go ahead and say that the Raiders will keep it close. If not outright, win the game. Let's go, Raiders. Let's turn this around. Throw it to fucking Darren Waller, huh? But man, we covered a lot here. Yeah, I think we got them all. Kansas City at Vegas, Cincinnati at Baltimore, Dallas at the Rams. These are some big games of the week. Miami at the Jets. Should be some good football. I'm excited. Let's go and watch this Rings of Power on fucking Friday. Holy shit. I was thinking about that this week, that I'm going to be off on Friday. I can't fucking wait. I'm definitely going to watch that new Rings of Power. Holy fucking shit. I've talked a lot. I am all talked out. My lip is kind of cracking. I feel so dry mouth. I'm a little cottonmouth bass here. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore, but get your 2 on. Get your roll on, everybody get the roll on. Go to MyBookie and go to Brinks.com and tell them to back that ass up. Fuck the algorithm. Fuck House of Dragons. Fuck it in the butt. Woo!